All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Block, The Vibe, and The Street. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a special episode here because every time I see her, I call her superstar, and I mean that sincerely. First of all, let me introduce her and give you her flowers. She is a dynamic and strategic leader in the community of banking for 16 years in the Houston, Dallas, and Fort Worth areas. She is on several boards, the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce. She is a community advocate when it comes to numerous fundraisers, generating significant amounts of funds. She is also a graduate of the University of Texas at San Antonio. You know, your grandfather would want me to make sure I say San Antonio. And she also has a MBA from the Texas Women's University. Y'all, I want to introduce you to someone who has, at a very young age, is one that has been voted of one of Houston's most 30 most influential women in 2025. Uh, a under 40 honoree by the Houston Business Journal in 2024. 2024 Houston's Women's Center Advocate of the Year, a 2024 Woman on the Move by Houston Executive Women, a 2023 Certificate of Congressional Recognition, a 2023 Pearl Honoree by the American Cancer Society, a 2022 Leader of Financial Education Award from Texas Bank Association. Y'all give it up for my niece, Courtney Taylor. Good evening, sister.
Good evening. Thank you so
I
much
want
for
to,
the
and I know
intro.
you're really, really busy, y'all. We've really been trying to do this for months, and
hmm
thank you for taking out the time to speak with us today. Listen,
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
let's just get right to it. So,
hmm
let me give you this theory that I had, and I say because I've ran into a couple of people uh, during this time. So let's go back to March 2020, and we
hmm
have COVID, and
hmm
I think it was a renaissance in a sense for the average American. And what I mean by that is, so for the first time, the average American now is has the ability because of COVID to work from home, interact with their family.
hmm
They have a stipend coming in from the government. They have money coming in from their tax revenue checks. So now they have this surplus of money, and
hmm
they're able to pay bills. But some of that working force, a lot of people in food service, struck out on their own to do their own business. So
hmm
now here we are 5 years later, 2025. I want to expand my business. How
hmm
do they do it?
hmm Wow.
Financially.
Well, yes, 2020 was an interesting year, right? Because that was where we saw what was taboo as far as remote work
Right.
became, something now that's what a lot of folks want to do is work from home, right? And so it showed the flexibility, I believe, and still how people can get their job done from home through technology, right? And through that time frame, we saw a lot of businesses open. We saw some close, but we saw a lot of people get real creative and create side hustles and start, turning some of maybe their hobbies into actual businesses, right? And so we've seen a lot of those side hustles grow into their actual business. And you've seen a lot of people that have left their typical 9 to 5 over the past few years. Now, I do know with the current economy, it is a bit harder, and you see some people that are trying to turn back to a 9 to 5. But businesses are, especially in Texas right now, our economy is still top notch. And so as far as opening businesses and flourishing and things like that, Houston has a great ecosystem. Houston has a great small business ecosystem, so many resources, so many things. And one of the things I always tell people is to take advantage of what is out there. There's a lot of free resources that are out there that you don't necessarily have to pay for, to get some things started, to get some education. But one of the things I do tell people is to watch where you get your information from, because there's so much
Right.
information out here
Right.
on the internet,
Right.
and there's a lot of folks saying that they are gurus and they are this and they are that, right? And so I'm always
Right.
like, hey, make sure that you are researching these things for yourself and really taking
Right.
some time to learn about what X, Y, and Z is before you decide to maybe launch something, or before you decide to pay somebody to set up something for you, to make
Hmm.
sure that it is accurate.
So, Courtney, I guess leading into this question, so
Hmm.
there is a thing that's called, I guess, good money and bad money. Like,
Hmm.
is I guess there's a lot of quote unquote in aggressive private lenders, I guess, looking for people that they can invest in. But is some of that money better than other money in
Um,
that arena?
So what I'll say is there are options. You have options out there, and it goes back to what I just said a minute ago: researching. And so, well, you have your traditional banks, with your financial institutions, and of course, they have their different things that they are looking for, as far as for you to get, loans and credit cards and things of that nature to fund your business. Then you do have, private lenders that may offer you a loan, but it may be at a higher interest rate, right?
Hmm.
And so it's going to really depend on what your foundation is. Do you have business credit? Is this going to be on just my personal credit? What does that look like? How am I managing my finances? And honestly, too, when it boils down to the very foundation of your business, do I really need a loan right now for the business? Or do I just think I need a loan because that's what they said on somebody's Instagram page, right? Right, and even outside of, the traditional banks, or there may be like private or hard money lenders, there are CDFIs,
Hmm.
which I love. We partner with, I've been in banking for some time now, and I've partnered with some different CDFIs, which are community development financial institutions. And so many of those will offer, some more flexible rates for some lending products, depending on, maybe if somebody's had maybe a lower, credit score that they can't get something at a bank, then many banks will refer them to CDFI partners and say, hey, maybe try this community development financial institution out to see what they can do for you. And I've seen a lot of, businesses be able to flourish also through the assistance of CDFIs and the products that they offer as well. So that's another
So,
great way to get access to capital.
are there areas in let's just talk about our city of Houston.
Hmm.
Are there areas in Houston where there are funds, more funds available in certain areas of town because of the economic development areas that they're in?
I'll say this, with the CDFIs that I know about, they do service all of the greater Houston area. They may serve
Hmm.
that they may be in Houston, they may be over Texas, they can be in different states. There's a lot of them. And so partners like a True Fund or a People Fund or, a Lift Fund, or there's HBDI. There's just a list. There's an array of different, community development financial institutions that are, lending to small businesses. And of course, they have their own guidelines that you have to research and you have to look at. But they have lenders there to talk to them, to talk to folks about. They have business advisors to speak to different individuals about, hey, I'm wanting to do X, Y, and Z. I'm looking to do, open a restaurant, or I want to do a hotel, or I want to do, something of that nature. And of course, they have their certain limits, as to how much they can lend as well. But they are great, sources of capital. So, mhm.
So, what about you were saying about like, do I really need a loan? Talk to me about that measuring stick. Like,
Mhm.
how do I, let's say I have a small little 10 table restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking to expand, but how do
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm ready to expand? How do I know that? And
So,
how do I make sure that I make the right decision
mm-hmm.
without just taking on another arm of debt
Mm-hmm.
that causes me to eventually, have to raise prices or let somebody go? How do we get from
Right.
getting in that trick bag?
So that's key to knowing your finances, to really
Hmm.
understanding how to read your finances, right? Really knowing a balance sheet, your income statement, all of those different things. So what I always say is make sure you have a good CPA on deck,
Yeah.
right? That's going to be one of the first things, is to make sure that you have a good CPA to say, okay, I'm looking at my books. This is where we're at. And then what is your business? Do you have a good business plan? You know, you may be seeing you do great right now in year one and you want to expand for year three. What do you need to do to get there? Right. And so it's going back to those: do I have my business plan together? Do I have a good financial management, business advisor? But also, too, one of the things I tell a lot of folks, and a lot of my colleagues, we talk about this as well, is having relationships with bankers, having relationships with bankers, not just going in and, depositing your checks and things of that nature. No, actually really having a true relationship with a banker and saying, hey, I have this business. This is what I'm trying to do. Are there some products that you all have that can help me in managing some of the things that I have in the business? And also telling them your goals by, in the next couple of years, I want to expand. This is what I'm currently doing. What are some key things that you all would like to see as a lender to help
Hmm.
me in doing that expansion? And so it's really key on relationships, relationships, relationships. I think human capital is so critical when it comes down to business. So yeah, key relationships with your banker, having a good CPA. Also, too, key thing I always we talk about this with so many different folks, especially when we're talking about financial literacy, or we're sitting on panels and things of that nature, and we're just talking to people in the community about small business. Let's talk about taxes. You cannot say you haven't made any money on your business and do a zero write off because you don't want to pay taxes, right?
Right.
Because when the
Right.
bank comes back and looks at that, they say, "Well, you didn't make any money. So
Right.
why would we lend? Like there's different financials. They're like, why would we lend to somebody that says they haven't made any money? You know,
So
and
I guess the the thing about when you talk about developing relationships, you
mm-hmm,
know, don't just go in there and talk to the bank when you need some money.
right,
Ask them to help you walk through the process
right.
and
It takes
and
time.
and and allow the bank to be a pseudo partner, if you will,
Mm-hmm,
as
mm-hmm,
far from an advisory. And
mm-hmm,
I guess that all depends on the bank itself and the community
mm-hmm,
that you're in, and that handshake with that particular officer that you're talking to.
mm-hmm,
I would imagine.
mm-hmm. But also too, I'd say yes, allow them to be a partner. And banks have a lot of different programs, even
Hmm.
outside of just the financial products, right? And I say that meaning going back to that human capital. A lot of banks are doing networking groups, different cohorts with different business owners, just creating spaces for entrepreneurs to doing business advising. So it is definitely key to have those, because you could be getting, technical assistance or some type of help for your business. So yeah.
Is the SBA still a good source for not just for lending, but for education? Because I remember back in the day when I was just starting business, oh God,
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that there was a SBA class that they wanted you to attend.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, is that still a good source
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
information
Mm-hmm.
today?
Yeah, so SBA is great because one, you have so many banks that are SBA lenders, but the SBA, they put on a variety of different community events, and they partner with a lot of different institutions and community-based organizations. And so one of the groups that I'm involved in is the Women's Chamber of Commerce here in Houston, but we also have a Women's Small Business Center, which is actually powered by the SBA. And
Hmm.
so through that center, we are doing workshops on a monthly basis, free workshops, kind of lunch and learn. You can log in on Zoom, and folks are learning everything from marketing, AI, financial management, relationships with bankers. If you want to start, an e-commerce business, what does that look like? I mean, we've had so many different topics, and so we're getting small business like subject matter experts that are coming and sharing about their expertise to those folks in the community that are entrepreneurs or starting off, and giving free information, free resources. So yes, I definitely say SBA is still great because of the partnerships that they have in the community and the information that they do put out in the community. Another great resource is Score. Score is a
Mm.
great partner,
Yeah.
and free resources. They're doing all different types of workshops, and that's where a lot of folks can get free business advising from former executives that have spent their time. They're like retired and
Yeah.
ready just to help,
Yeah.
and so I think that's awesome because I've seen so much success come out from that organization as well.
Courtney, just to step uh, to another topic,
Mm-hmm.
how is it? And I've got educational platform where I have almost 2,400 people,
Mm-hmm.
and I've noticed the one powerhouse that's constant through my entire platform,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the power of Black business women.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak on how that synergy has gotten, I would say, over the last 10, 15 years? And actually, if you want to go politically, is expanded longer than that. But how does that entity, no matter what major city you go in, is
Mm-hmm.
so powerful? Can you speak on
Mm-hmm.
that a little bit?
I say from my perspective, and this is all from my perspective, I have so many, I just think in my network of dynamic business women, black women that are killing the game from real estate to hospitality to event planning and event space to, I mean, you name it, they are doing it. And I think it's just a factor of wanting more.
Right.
We have the education, we see the resources that are out there, and we are also trying to figure out ways to help our different communities in different spaces and help our families. This big term over the last couple of years of generational wealth, and we keep hearing that, and it's so embedded. And we want to do that. We want to create that. We want to be a part of that in our families and those and creating those legacies. And I love that we've created so many different spaces as far as networking groups and cohorts and just support for one another. And many times when I'm networking, and it may be something just casual, and folks will leave with some resources,
Right.
and all of a sudden, next thing you know, somebody may be doing business with one another, and so I think that's just something we have. We're just motivating of motivated women to get some things done. I think about the folks that have raised me, my grandmother, my mom, my great grandmother, of ladies that have been entrepreneurs that have done it all. And so, I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, what's next? Because I know I'm next in line to do something
Right.
in a similar fashion.
Well, the other thing too is my dad says not everything takes money,
Mm-hmm.
which goes back to what you were saying is the fact about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think keeping those networks tight,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times, and also staying prepared,
Mm-hmm.
because I think there's a lot of people that come into this arena as far as making money or the money game itself, and opportunities come because they're out um, uh, uh, trying to build a network like yours,
Mm-hmm.
and they and then they come across an opportunity, but they're not prepared to receive the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So how does one stay prepared?
Mm-hmm.
How can if you have a young lady coming up, what would you tell her today
Mm-hmm.
about just, hey, this is what you need to do to stay prepared because opportunities may come to you and you have to be ready. What do you tell her?
Lock in.
Mm,
Lock in immediately. It's just a matter of staying focused, right? I think right now we are in a world where it's so many distractions.
yeah.
Our cell phones are literally computers, right?
Hmm.
And there's always something happening. There's always something going on, and so you really do have to lock in, but you really also have to be grounded. And really, at the end of the day, I say, remember, what is your purpose? What is your why? And if you keep that at the forefront, you'll be ready. You'll be ready, you know?
Once again, everybody, I want to. This is Courtney Taylor. She is a community leader, especially in the Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth area for the past 16 years in community banking. And we're sitting here having just a conversation about how do I stay engaged? How do I become a voice in my community when it comes to that? How do I get funding? And you want to go to the Block, the Vibe, and the Street YouTube channel to catch this coming up week, so you can hear this conversation in case you came in late. So, Courtney, finishing up here, we got a few minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
How does, without diving into the black hole of
Mm-hmm.
this political mess,
Mm-hmm.
how does that things going on around us
Mm-hmm.
affect a person like you raising capital?
Mm-hmm. So I'll say for me, as I'm in the community and depending on if I'm doing something with my nonprofits and helping raising money or something of that nature, just talking with folks about helping others. I try to
Hmm.
stay grounded in that fact of like, how are we treating each other? What does that really look like? Yes, there's a lot of, once again, that word distractions.
Hmm.
A lot of this is just distractions. And I'm like, we've got to stay focused on what truly the mission is. What is
Right.
community for us,
Right.
right? What is community? What does it look like to help one another? I think if we stay focused on that end, we will be okay. But in all of this climate right now, there are opportunities.
Right.
And so my thing is always, I'm always looking at a positive side of stuff. There's gonna be some difficult times, but what's on the other side of that? What does that look like? And so
So you
it's just
you
a focus.
yeah, if you stay on mission,
Mm-hmm.
you won't miss it, and it won't miss you, whatever
Right.
that opportunity is.
Right. I'm still on what's for you is for you.
Right. Right.
It don't
So
matter whatever's going on, the outside, the distractions, the noise, what's for you is for you. And you'll get everything that is for you.
someone told me they were coming about an idea they had for a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the first thing I said to them was, well, in your business, what is that in that thing that you do better than anybody else in the world?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they don't have an answer for that. And then I said, right now, you don't have a business, you have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit in what you've seen over the years? What do you think the difference is of an idea versus, oh, I got a business?
I have a lot of ideas.
Hmm.
I have a lot. I'll say this personally. I have a lot of ideas.
Right.
But what is that one idea, like you just said, that I can take, I can hone in on and really make a plan? For me,
Hmm.
it's about having the plan, but it's really about the execution of it.
Right. Right.
It's really
I
about the
guess
execution.
for somebody who was in the car business for 30 years, the one thing that
Mm-hmm.
I've known about business deals is the fact that not every deal is the same.
Right.
Not every deal has to have a 750 credit score.
Right.
So a lot of people have what they what it's like I said the other day to you when we were talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Business is sort of like a math problem. The answers are right in front of you. Nobody's trying to trick you. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people need to get out of their way about the fear stuff. Oh well, I don't have this, but
Yeah.
you've been in your home for the past 20 years. You've been
Yeah.
doing in the same industry for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
You have X amount of income coming in. Let's
Mm-hmm.
start from there. Your business plan sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put a package together
Mm-hmm.
and and let's go find a lender. So saying that, how many people have you come across in your 16 plus years of business that have a good idea but too afraid to go and try to present it?
That's interesting because I've worked in so many different facets from banking to nonprofit and consulting and in hospitals and all different types of things. And so I even think about in the consulting phase, there's so many people that do want to start things. And there's so many conversations that I have had with folks about starting things. But that fear word that you just said earlier is really something that handicaps a lot of people. And I'll be honest, it's
Right.
handicapped me before because I've
Mhm.
been like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I can do this. But really, once, like you just said, it's all in front of you.
Yeah.
It's really all in front of you. But I think it's like putting that plan together, having that, because there's hundreds and hundreds of folks that I've come across. I want to do this, I want to do that, but just haven't figured out how to get it off the ground. And that is because that waiting for that perfection, that perfect moment, and there's really no perfect moment.
So we have like 3 minutes left. I want to ask this last question. So technology moves really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it changes the game a little bit as far as how you could get lending these days and
Mm-hmm.
not having to go into a traditional bank. Um, how do you? What have you seen that in from a positive sense that technology has helped with funding?
As far as from what I've seen, I mean, I'm not on the tech side, but it seems, of course, I would say as far as being faster.
Right, right,
you
right.
know, it's just I've seen it from being a bit faster and helping to make certain decisions or moving things quicker than maybe folks traditionally would have maybe not gotten 20, 30 years ago, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Um, but that's kind of what I've seen. Now I know as AI and all these things ramp up, it is changing the game. And so I'm still trying to learn myself on what that does look like and how it is going to affect the financial industry along with every other industry, right? And so it's AI now, but what is it going to be after that? And, like there's all of these different things that are out there. So from the tech standpoint, I think there's a lot more for us to learn about, definitely for me to learn about as it relates to the banking industry and what that looks like.
Well, Courtney, I would really, really like you to come back and talk about what's next for folks. I think there's a lot more that we can layer on in this, but we could be here to midnight
I know,
talking about this
right?
stuff. I don't. I think it's a non-ending road, but I
Hmm.
think that people need to know that you don't know until you know.
Hmm.
So reach out to those local business leaders that
Hmm.
handle or in positions that can help you get funding and have a conversation. Don't just go to these people just
Hmm.
hey, with your hand stuck out. Give them a
Hmm.
reason to invest in you,
Hmm.
and I think that's the first step. So ladies and gentlemen, again, you are looking to what I think is this city's superstar, Courtney Taylor. Courtney, thank you very much, Mom, for coming
Thank,
on.
thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
All right, now, thank you.